Joined now by Tina Griffin, the counterculture mom. Tina, thanks for your time today.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me.
We have an interesting set of statistics from the CDC about suicides, child suicide during all the lockdown, and we're having an epidemic, it seems, in celebrity child stars, internet stars having suicidal thoughts and intentions. What's going on?
Yeah, well, this is a little bit of a downer show today, but honestly, it's something we have to talk about because suicide is number 2 killer behind accidents for teens today in our country. And according to the CDC, there was a survey that went out for teen suicide rates. They are on the rise, in fact, skyrocketing. So we got to talk about it because it affects either our family, which I'm going to talk about red flags here in a minute to watch for, or the kid across the street. So let's be diligent in making sure that all kids, if they are crying out for help, attention, whatever the case is, we don't hear about them being dead from a neighbor across the street a couple days later. Suicide, like I said, is the second highest cause of death among teens. According to a recent study from the Journal of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, COVID isolation has caused the rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide among teens to jump even higher in the last year. That's the major issue we're seeing, and it's happening all over the place, including for celebrities today.
Okay, so we have a lot of kids who aren't celebrities being isolated, pulled away from their peers. That causes depression and leads to suicide. But what we're also seeing is these celebrity influencers, these young celebrities, whether they're Hollywood actors or whether they're social media profilers, and they have such following, they're popular. Talking about people like Dajaria Schaefer, who just killed herself, had about 1.4 million followers. Talk about, and this is where I think your expertise is really helpful, Tina, because you're a former actress. What is it about Hollywood culture? What is it about early fame and celebrity that turns to either drug abuse or suicide so often, it seems?
Well, I think a lot of these people, they just jump into it too young and too fast. And if it's not going the way they think it should go because they're following previous celebrities they've idolized or currently are idolizing, they end up taking their own life just due to the pressure. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that come down to this, but I can tell you 25 years ago, when I first started in Hollywood, there was a lot of pressure back then, but it's nowhere near what's happening today. Back then, I would act on a movie set. In fact, I actually played a druggie in one of the clips that I did for a film festival, but I would only take that role if I would die of a drug overdose or if I actually got help. In that case, I died. And so that at least shows the consequences of these behaviors. The problem with celebs today is these different behaviors are glamorized. Young stars who start out and start doing these daredevil things like Dee did, a TikTok star with all these followers, it's a lot of pressure at a very young age. And she's thinking, not knowing that there are consequences associated with her actions. And so suicide looks like an easy escape. And a lot of kids, of course, don't realize the pain it causes and the grief it causes, not just for the family involved that lost a loved one, but the millions of followers that then think, man, my life isn't too great either. If she's a celebrity and took her life, I wonder if I should just end my life. And that's what kids are doing. They're literally following suit of the people that they idolize. It's a never-ending nasty cycle unless parents get involved and see the red flags and reach out.
I wonder if it's for celebrity children that they get used to before they've developed ego. Mm-hmm. Their ego is developed before they've become secure in themselves, before they've been able to separate reality versus fiction. They become celebrities for being watched and for being praised. I wonder if it's too much, like you said, too soon. And when the show ends, think about the little boy from Everybody Loves Raymond, one of the 2 twins who killed himself. You wonder if it's you're not getting the same kind of superficial attention, and so you don't know how to process that versus meaningful self-worth. We have a second case here, a doctor that you know of online, Dr. Laura Berman, whose son killed himself. She was a big participator in the Oprah Winfrey Show. Her son was a bit of a celebrity.
Yes, he purchased fentanyl-laced Xanax from a drug dealer through Snapchat, of all places. Millions of kids are on Snapchat. It's one of the largest apps that our teens are on today. And now Dr. Berman is pleading with parents, really don't have your kids be on Snapchat. And if they're on there, make sure the proper settings are on there, because her straight A student, who was 16 years old, had everything going for him, was ready to go attend college, literally got a hold of this drug through Snapchat, where the drug dealer actually came to his home. Now, this is on Snapchat, so parents have to be aware. And just to bounce back for 2 seconds, the red flag with the previous post with D, it's important to know that she actually put a last post with a sad-faced emoji telling people it was her last post. So these warning signs are out there for these kids. Parents have to be aware. And I'm talking to the teens right now, too. If you see one of your friends post something like this, please call the cops. Please tell that person's parents. Reach out to your parents and let them know what's going on, because a lot of these kids are serious. They're crying out for one last desperate helpline. And a lot of times people don't take them seriously until they find out, wow, they went through with it.
There's a certain level of extremism in these kids, too. They're definitive about everything. I think of Billie Eilish, who suffered with this.
Yeah, and at 12 years old, using diet pills, the first thing I think of is, what kind of home life did she have? Were her parents involved? If they were, did she hide the diet pills? But at 12 years old, going back a decade, 15 years ago, when this issue was a problem, but nowhere where it is today, now you mix that with celebrity status, it's a recipe for disaster when she's one of the top celebrities followed in America by young tweens and teens. It's very concerning. And now you have Lauren Daigle, who's promoting this woman's music. It really causes a lot of chaos to happen and a lot of danger in my book, warning that parents need to be aware of who their kids are idolizing and following. We need positive role models, and our Counterculture Mom app is loaded with them. I was just going to also say, on our app, if you download the Counterculture Mom app, Google Play, iTunes Store, and go to the premium section, you're not just going to find the 30 alerts we pump out every single week. These 3 are just some of many, but you're going to find a resource section available to you with hundreds and hundreds of links, all categorized. So one is on suicide. We have videos of people that ran from suicide when they thought they were going to take their own lives. We have statistics, studies. It's important to have our kids realize that these are the consequences. Think about this ahead of time. If you're depressed and suicidal, last thing you want to do is literally take your own life. Studies show that social media, Dr. Duke, I know you're aware of this, contributes to anxiety and mental health issues in teens, bottom line, because of what we just talked about, the major pressure put on people when they become an instant celebrity because they have a profile online.